All right, as we get started, good afternoon, everyone. Great to be in Goa here today. I'm Bharat, and I'll be moderating this session, which is going to be very insightful and very important topic for all of us in how the global enterprises, think about India as a strategic driver. We all heard about the legacy narrative, which is doing for less, right? But I think the narrative has changed a lot over the time. It's more about the speed, the scale, the transformation that GCC in India can really bring in. And over and about that, there's also a lot of ownership and accountability of building the global charters within India. So within this session, what we're going to do is we'll uncover some of these stories, especially with what you guys have already experienced, and probably tell a narrative about how we have progressed from being an execution driven to innovative, as well as from support organizations to a more of strategy. So we'll just dive in quickly. So my first question would be for Raghu. So Raghu, the GCCs traditionally have been a center of efficiency, right? But what we've seen is now it is pretty much a strategic driver of innovation. But in order to do that, there's also a lot of transformation that you need to bring in internally as well as externally with respect to talent, structures, governance, and so on and so forth. Do you think these, have really enabled the shift that we are seeing today?
Yes. Thank you, Bharat. I hope everybody can hear me. Uh, Thank you, Bharat. There's a lots of things which happened in the past 25 years to lead to this transformation. If you see 25 years ago, if somebody had said to me that in 25 years you're going to be here, I would have really found that I would have laughed at it, honestly speaking. Just before that, all of you know about the Y2K problem, which literally put us on the global IT map. Everybody in the world started knowing there is a country called India where you can do your projects, your software projects, everything. And everybody suddenly wanted 100 people, 200 people, and the only country where they were available was India. Before that, we were doing small projects, and Y2K literally put us into the $1 million deals and everything. Parallelly, there was another activity going on. We started setting up BPOs especially for call centers, basic financial transactions, etc. And the biggest driver of that was cost arbitrage. You go to India, you have the people, you get at a cheap rate, go there. And in the past 25 years, what has happened is web has transformed the way we do business. Before that, nobody knew web. We were connecting over 64 kbps. Now web has transformed it. Telecoms started giving huge bandwidth to us. We are running after that. And then today, if you look at it, we are just part of the regular IT teams. I mean, we are no longer a separate team. I mean, a lot of factors drove it. I'll come to one by one. And the other side of it, we started with BPO, call centers, basic BPO. And then we started moving higher and higher into the like KPOs, online transactions, claims management. Literally today we are doing even risk and fraud analytics are being done in India today, which is one of the highest things in a financial service institution. I don't liquidity risk. A lot of BPOs can talk about it. One of the biggest drivers is driven by, in the early days, we used to call them as captives, now GCCs. I don't know if anybody remember the city captive, which was acquired by Tata's after that. What it has proven is that you have an entry and you have an exit also for a captive. It's given a lot of confidence to other companies, stating that when you go to India, you're not stuck with it. You're going in, you know you can work with them, and then always there is an option to exit it. There are other companies like GE, which became its own IT service, its own firm. Many of you may not remember Cognizant. It was a Dun & Bradstreet captive, which has now become Cognizant, which is a competitor to most of us here. The biggest thing is these have proven that there's a strong model that works. You can set up a GCC, you can run it, you can manage it. In the event of a business decision, you can also exit it. See, one of the biggest challenges everybody thinks is, how do I exit the thing? This has proven that we have an exit strategy. And I mean, today, if you see a lot of GCCs today, they're open to coming to India, setting up offices. And another reason why this is happening is there is a diaspora of people who are willing to come to India. There are two types of people. One is Indians who have gone to US or Europe, worked for a long time, come back to India to set up their companies, GCC. The other one is foreigners who have worked there with a lot of Indians. They want to come to India. They started liking the environment here, especially the luxuries of life. And for most of the diaspora, if you look at it, not just the working environment where you go to office, you have a world-class infrastructure, your office are on par or maybe superior to your office around the world. Just recently, somebody was commenting that this office in India is far superior to the offices we have in US. So we have superior office here, infrastructure-wise. More than that, it's also the ecosystem which developed. I'm sure many of you will look at it saying that, okay, if I go back to India, what will my children do? Are they good schools? Will I get a good place to live? Will my family adjust? All those things are being taken care of. You have international schools. Children can go to school. Your family has an ecosystem to work with. All these things kind of created an environment for us to move forward, which is, I'm slightly digressing from what happens inside a GCC, but they also played a major role. And if you look at it, till the PIO card or OIC card was introduced, working in India, you have to go to the Indian embassy, get a work permit to work in India. If you have taken up the US citizenship, you have to come work here. It's also a big process. Now with OIC, you can just work.
Yeah.
It's been liberalized. So, just digressing from what you do inside a GCC. Now, what is happening inside a GCC? I know I come from an IT industry. We talk about a lot of IT industry. But then if you look at other GCCs, they're also doing a lot of work. For example, if you take in pharma, Baxter, Novartis, all these people have an R&D centers here.
Exactly. No, great. I think you're talking about how the whole strategic reshaping has happened over the years, right? Amazing to see, just not from a organization perspective, but also around all the ecosystem around it. So I think great segue to, I'll probably go to Sriram. We talked about the repositioning of India, but if you really want to innovate, there is also a deeper essence of domain knowledge that is required, right? And my question to you would be that, are we really becoming a custodian of these knowledge with bringing in across all the verticals? We have seen like retail, healthcare, high tech, now semiconductors as well. Do you think this knowledge powerhouse is creating the real differentiator for us to do innovation in India?
Absolutely, right. Good afternoon. We've come a long way, right? Say something controversial, but I would like to say that from being recognized in the late 90s to what we are today, right? We were recognized across India. If you've traveled, and probably all of you know, we were recognized as the code coolies of the world, right? People knew that we were great in getting code done. So from there to masters of code, I should say, or probably masters of low code, I should say, or now I should say probably masters of no code, right? The transition that we have made today is phenomenal as far as the deeper domain knowledge is concerned. And that makes a big difference, I think, overall to the entire ecosystem. And talking about innovation, there's a very interesting thing. The first thing that comes to our mind when we have been talking about innovation over the years is out-of-the-box thinking, meaning we think something blue sky, right? We innovate something blue sky is what we have been talking. But the need of the hour, really, Bharat, right, is to talk about within the boundaries, right? When I talk about innovation, it's really not outside the box, it's inside the box, meaning there is even the largest companies in the world, you take the Googles, you take the Metas, you take the big companies, right? They also have constraints, meaning they have the timeline to meet, they have the budget to meet, they have the resources to meet, and so on, right? So innovation inside the box, meaning understanding of the domain, plays the key role really in for us to innovate. It's not about innovating what is possible, it's innovating what is necessary. That's the big shift that we're doing as an industry, I think. And thanks to everyone who has kind of put the shoulders to the wheel and really moved this far. That's a titanic shift from where we were, right? Where we were trying to do what was told to us to where we are really finding what is necessary and going behind it. You talk about retail, the way we are innovating in retail, right? I'm sure there are a lot, I don't want to name the companies who are doing amazing job as far as the retail is concerned. Today, if you talk about, it's gone are those days when we are managing inventory, when we are managing who is coming to the shop, right? Understanding what was selling, giving analysis and so on, right? Or apps, building apps for it and so on, like 6 years, 7 years ago. Today, we are talking about absolute computer vision, right? Every shelf has cameras today. The reorder levels are maintained. Who's buying what, right? If Sam is coming into the store, it knows that last time he took 3 cases of beer and a cracker. So it'll make sure that the 3 crackers and three cases of beer and cracker is available today. The amount of computer vision and the amount of analytics that goes into it, and all that is done from India, right? From Bangalore. I know how many of you saw, I was talking to somebody during lunch today here. So I was talking to them about the Google I/O, right? I know how many of you saw Google I/O, the amount of Indians and the people who are leading these, right, in the front is just amazing, truly inspiring to be in this era, to be leading this, and to be kind of taking part in this evolution and being in the bleeding edge of things, right? I'm sure all of you agree. The deep domain expertise and trying to innovate with all the constraints and every limitation that we have got truly speaks volumes of where we have come. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Sriram. I think, the domain, the best friend to a domain or the next best friend to a domain is always technology, right?
Sure.
So if you know the process well, the domain well, then you try to obviously bring innovation through technology. So Ganesh, I want to slightly go towards the AI part of it, the data part of it, and the engineering part of it, right? So have you seen that the combination or the convergence of these 3 things, engineering, data, AI, and so forth, is really unlocking a lot of potential for the innovation in India? And more so, is it really creating in a ground for high risk, high reward experimentation so that people can start doing more innovation without having a fear of not succeeding or succeeding?
Yeah. So hope everybody can hear me. We've been working with, I won't name the customer, but they are the 2 largest search engines in the world. What we see is whenever they launch the technology, right, it comes over to some of the GCCs here in India. And we go ahead and one simple solution was, let's say you have a laptop, it heats up, you call customer support. Previously, the customer support agent is 6 months, 8 months, is going through a script. Now he has an agent supporting him. And that agent, that Gen AI agent, is trained on 500,000 tickets that are out there already, right? So he's getting a specific question being prompted to him saying, ask the customer this. And if you say, okay, it's still not working, did you go ahead and change the setting? Yes, I changed the setting. Okay, I'll be sending you a part, right? It's a man plus machine, a person plus machine combination that's going on. And the entire solution based on, 500,000 unstructured data sitting on top of, transformer model sitting on top of it, building an agentic workflow, was done 4 years back, not now, right? It was done 4 years back, even before OpenAI became big, by Indian teams. Not just my team, but several teams based in India, right? Even before OpenAI became big, right? That's one example I can give you. The other example is one of the customers was sitting in millions of survey data, right? So they wanted to know, how can we use surveys unstructured data as well, right? How can I go ahead, process the survey data? It's sitting in all Excel files. How do I process this? Put it into a database, a vector database in this case. And how do I come up with taglines, right? So we took the survey data, broke it into 3 levels, right? Detractors, promoters, passives. And for detractors, use these terms when you're, marketing your product. Use these two. Gen AI did that. But the entire thing, I'm just giving you a couple of use cases, I can keep going on and on, was again developed completely in the Microsoft stack, right? With Copilot and Fabric and others, right? And it keeps evolving, right? So I was just agreeing with somebody, right? Gone are the days. A lot of my team members, they've gone, when I was going to the US, it was mostly a one-way ticket, right? Those days are gone. So many of my team members have returned back, going back to the point made on expats, right? And they're coming back because it's high taxes, better family life here. And the beautiful thing they say is, I can work with some of the top companies in the world here, some of the best problems in the world, sitting here having my filter coffee in Bangalore, right? That appeals to a lot of people, right? And my team, at least I heard 3 people who have returned back. and a few more are willing to come back, right? So it's the trifecta. If I can add one more, the people component is also wonderfully shaping up in the Indian IT side.
Perfect. No, I think if you look at the whole concept of the domain, the technology, you also need certain scale somewhere, which always comes through a discussion about the core versus the context, right? Whether what is core to our business, what is context to our business, where we really need a surrounding ecosystem to really help us as well. So this is a question to Raghu. Do you think that when you talk about the innovation, there's also a very key role that the academia or the startups play in order to bring the the essence that you really haven't got, or probably it's not really core to you? Do you think this is something that has to be part of your whole mix to accelerate significantly on your innovation journey?
Can I ask a question to the audience?
Yeah, sure.
How many of you or your companies are mentoring startups, or you are mentoring startups, or you're part of some cohort in an accelerator? I can see quite a few hands going up. That answers part of the question. Today, you're seeing a lot of companies working with accelerators or startups like T-Hub or Triple ITs of the country in mentoring your academia and all that. I mean, today there are like 1.6 lakh startups in India now in various areas. It is maybe surprising to some of you. We are from agri-tech to space tech. I mean, startups are launching satellites now. And many of you, especially in healthcare, automotive, you're all work with the startups and mentoring them. The biggest advantage is the database your global companies have, or the reach they have, the kind of information they have to mentor the startups is so huge. And that's the knowledge which a startup may not have. That is what a GCC is bringing to that through you. And today I know there are companies which are really at the forefront of startups, like healthcare is doing a lot of startups, like Optum is mentoring a lot of companies. Samsung, I mean, most of us heard of 5G. Samsung is actually working with projects which engineering colleges on 6G technologies. Huawei is doing the same thing in India. I'm not talking about outside, in India. Similarly, if you see, I mean, some of you may have more experience in this. You're doing some of the forefront of technologies, diagnostic, medical technology tools. Yeah, lots of things are going on. And I mean, I've been a mentor, so I know some of those things. But it's a big ecosystem which has developed. And some of you who have not raised the hand, please work with your GCCs to work with the startups, because think of a technology, there is a startup. If not, it will come up. So that's the biggest ecosystem you have there.
Yeah, perfect. And
colleges also.
And we have seen this, like especially a larger the company, larger the organization, they always use the spin-off concept a lot so that they can move fast, they can innovate fast as well. Yeah. So I'll most likely probably to you, Ganesh. So when you talk about the innovation, there's multiple parts to it, right? In terms of the accountability, are you innovating a part of it? Are you innovating the end-to-end? And what is the complete ownership or the accountability that you have in the whole innovation? But for you to really take up that accountability, there is really a need for a proper structure around it, an operating model around it. And also you need to have a proper leadership and decision-making capability within your organization. So I just want to get your view on how this whole accountability about innovation as well as execution can be fast-tracked.
It's a wonderful question. This is something I think all GCCs can try. It's pretty easy. So when we work with the FANGs, right, the big technology companies, what they do is they take a domain. They take one simple domain, let's say customer support, right? They find out the top 50 problems that are there. They shortlist it to the top 10 that has the most business impact or risk. If I don't do this, I'll be charged, penalized $10 million. They take the top 10. They understand the problem. It's a global team, right? They have team members from US, Europe, and India sitting there. Of course, the Indians will do the heavy lifting on terms of the technology, and they will be doing the heavy lifting on terms of the product. So this is the broad setting. Setting that up would be the job of the leaders here, right? Identifying and bring it on to that 10. Going back to what Sir said, some of the youngsters are extremely talented. right? You go to some of these startups. When I was in final year college, I read mechanical automotive engineering. When I go back to my college now, get engineering, they actually build a car and drive it around the campus, right? They're much more advanced. I just compare myself in final year. So some of the youngsters are so talented. They want to learn as well, right? And they don't want to stop there. So what happens next is you take your top 10% talent. This is what most of my highly innovative teams do. And give them a very simple target, 80-20 rule. You know which company I'm talking about, not the largest search engines, right? 80-20. 80% you work on your day job. 20% I want you to learn and innovate on these top 10 problems. It could be a Gen AI problem. It could be a causal modeling problem. It could be the latest, vault modeling problem in data engineering. It could be a graph database, whatever, right? Learn about it. Believe it or not, they learn it in like 3 months and they do a project. And then they do 2 pilots, 3 pilots. Within a month, you will know if that pilot has, most of you would have seen this, has legs in it. But what I have seen some of the top innovative teams do is the senior leaders, they spend an hour with that team, 1 hour per week with that team. And they end up learning. I learn a lot by sitting with those guys, right? They teach me a lot, right? And within 4 meetings, you will know whether that project has legs or not. Within 3 months, they go production. Within 6 months, it's a global rollout. We've seen this process repeat itself again and again, multiple places. It's more a process. All the other ingredients are there in India already.
No, very nice. I think the whole 80-20 rule that you talked about, there's a barbell strategy for it, right? You put 80% stake in something that you know that you'll be successful, but 20% is something that you want to evaluate. Perfect. Now, one thing that we did not talk about so far is the people, right? It's an essential mix to make everything successful. When you look at talent and the innovations, there's obviously a lot of redefinition that you need to do because your talent have been traditionally been trained on execution. But the moment you want to now get into innovation, there's a different mindset that you need to bring in. So this is a freewheeling. Anyone can maybe, Sriram, we can start with you. Do you think that redefining this talent for innovation is super important? But how do you really enable that with the new generation?
There's a lot of ways in which we can look at innovation. Again, when we look at innovation, I urge you all not to look at blue sky. Try to look at with the definitions and try to ask them to innovate with constraints. There is a tremendous amount of innovation that happens on the ground with the people who are coming new from the college or who we are recruiting as interns, and the way we are grooming them and so on has been phenomenal, right? And people have been the key power that kind of powers our whole industry. I think it's very important. I'll also urge all of you to look at another aspect. What do you think is the salary difference between the engineer? We all talked about talent. I think all of us agree everyone here is equally talented to the person sitting across the pond, whether it's in the Europe or whether it's in the US. I think all of us agree to that. Am I right? All of us agree that we are equal, right? What do you think is the salary difference between an AI engineer in India and an AI engineer in the US? Any guesses on the numbers? Sorry? 4 to 6 times? Okay, any other number? 4 to 6 is the best? Okay. The data says approximately we are about $17,000 or so annually for our AI engineers. And in the US, the same thing is about 150, right? We're talking about a 750% difference, right? So we really have to look at this gap. I understand there's purchase power parity. We have to be competitive, right? We are running GCCs here. I understand all that, right? But I think at some point of time, it's time for us to claim that we have arrived, right? We are underplaying this game is my very, very strong belief that we are underplaying this game for a very long time. I think slowly, steadily, we really have to do this, right? It's very, very important that people don't look at us just for the cost arbitrage, but truly look for the innovation, the value, what we bring into the table to claim that we really have to do this. If you look at the way the industry has moved and what has been paying, if you look at some of the biggest companies, the way what they were paying in 2000, probably they are paying almost the same after 25 years as the starting salary for a freshers. Though we all kind of agree that the industry has moved, we have moved the needle, we have got great talent, people are awesome, kids do great work, everything, but we really don't show it in action. We really have to, as a consortium, as a fraternity, I request all of you to really look at this and claim our stage, right? Its time has come for us to claim it, I feel, rather than to play the second innings and say that we are being great executors, we'll continue to be great executors. We have to become innovators. We really have to make sure that the bottom lines are taken care as well. I think that's something all of us should put effort. As a fraternity, we should come together and really march towards this, I feel.
Perfect. Yeah. You want to share your views on that, Ganesh?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with him, right? But we still need to innovate more. I agree with most of you, but I still think we haven't even scratched the surface. When I see some of the youngsters here, they have a lot more talent, and in a lot of cases, it's my own prejudice mindset that's holding them back. Right? For example, if a project that can be done, we were migrating a data, right? 4 to 5 databases, ETL, data modeling, dashboard. My mindset, anybody here will say 3 months, 4 months, right? I didn't give them an estimate. I asked them to do it. They got it done in a month, right? They use the latest Fabric and they use the latest Gen AI-based visualization, right? If I had told them 3 months, they would have done it in 3 months as well, right? A lot of it is our own biases based on our own 25-year-old experience that's holding us back, is how I look at it. But if you can allow them to, set the tone of the innovation, it'll be even better than what we are seeing, right? In short, please step aside. Let the next generation lead it, and we should just be coaches and guides.
Perfect. Raghu, your views?
Just one point. When we are looking at innovation, we might have to look beyond our normal talent pool. See, till now, coming from IT industry, we always looked at engineers.
Yeah.
But if you look at our US offices or European offices, they don't look at engineers, they look at everybody. Maybe we should also look at those such kind of broad bandwidth of people to bring innovation together. That's going to change the things, and they will bring a different perspective, which will lead to better innovation and everything.
Perfect. Yeah, it's all horses for courses.
Yeah.
You need to have them for sure. No, great. I think as a last segment, I'll be moving into a rapid fire. Same question to everyone, but you can provide your views on it. As the saying goes, that if you can't measure, you can't improve, right? We talked a lot about the innovation, but how do we really measure and say that this is what we brought in, right, in a bigger scheme of things? Just want to get everybody's views in terms of what are those KPIs that will really drive in measuring what we are bringing in from an innovation perspective. Maybe, Sriram, you can start with it.
Sure. 2 things. One is we look at the bottom line, the top line of the revenue that we bring in because of the innovation. That's very key, I think. We have to measure it. We cannot keep innovating in air and say that we are innovating, but no impact to our business. That cannot be the case. We really have, as leaders, we have to put our foot down and say that this innovation should bring in something. The Blue Sky project, the 20% time, all that is outside of it. But when it comes to core business innovation, we really have to look at top line and the bottom line numbers, right? That's very important. The other thing I really look at is meaningful decision-making, leadership growth in the area where we are innovating. When we are innovating, when we are saying that we are innovating, are we having the heads of those decision-making people in those teams, in those departments, in those projects that we're doing are based out of India, right? That's very, very important. We cannot say we are innovating and give all the ownership to somewhere else and be executors here. So for me, those 2 are important. One is the top line, bottom line, the money pass portion. And the other is, are we able to bring in leadership, decision-making leadership in that area where we are innovating?
How about you, Raghu?
I would put it this way. Whatever you have as your metric in your parent headquarters or wherever it is, just adopt them for India. In today's world, distance is just a number. We are the same. So just take the same metric and adapt it here. Whatever you're using there works in India. There is no offshore, there is no India metric, there is no remote metric, nothing. Your metric is our metric. That's it.
All right. So on to the left.
So it's usually 2 things, right? Time savings. How much time did this solution save? Or how much money did we make extra? That's it. And you prioritize all projects by that, and make sure everybody is aligned on that, and keep saying that every day. If we do this, we'll save so much money, or make so much money, or we will save so much time. Keep saying that again and again. Keep motivating the team.
Yeah. I think what I also understand from you is that, we talk about a lot of productivity, right? One is the productivity really doesn't mean anything unless you are harvesting that value into either top line or bottom line. I think that's what you meant to say, right? Well, I think, thank you so much. I think it's a pleasure to have you on the stage. So I just want to know a great insight from you all. Raghu started from operational efficiency discussion and through in the strategic innovation that you talked about. Sriram about the domain depth, very important, how we establish ourselves and really continue to have that competitive edge. And Ganesh, you showed us the possibility of the intersection of the technology and engineering and data and AI and so on and so forth. So again, it's been a pleasure for me for having you on the stage, and I'm sure that people have enjoyed this discussion so far. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the time.